Welcome to A Good Life with Soul Haven, presented by Chris Gregg, Samuel Yisrael, and Natasha, the loving chef.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of A Good Life at Soul Haven. Once again, joined by Samuel. Hello, Samuel.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Fantastic. And we have Natasha, the loving chef, as well with us.
Great to be back again.
It's great to be back, and we're well and truly into 2025 now. And this week's episode, we're going to be talking about a few different things, including what's going on in the community garden as we look forward to embracing the next season, and also food and your relationships with food, which we're going to be going through, and also how winter invites us to prepare for the growth of spring by using resources wisely. And then we'll get on to our latest Permaculture Principle, which is number 5, about using and valuing renewable resources and services. So before we start, for people that are joining us for the first time, and this is going to be happening in every episode, people may not have come across Soul Haven before, and they might not know what the show's about. So Samuel, could you or Natasha, could you briefly introduce us to Soul Haven and what it really is?
Yeah, certainly. So Soul Haven is based in Malton, just outside Northampton, and we offer a community space for people to explore with the seasons and also with themselves and nurturing and nature within. And we do offer a wide variety of workshops, different events, and it's a place to be heard. It's a place to be exploring one's own self and to become better and to build sustainable people for healthier, happier lives.
Fantastic. It's quite a special place, isn't it? And it's a place where nature and self-care kind of come together, and it's very much about a holistic approach, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're all about the people. We're all about helping people transform to be their better selves and to explore who we really are, our true authentic self. Marvellous.
So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is winter, because it's feeling very wintry now. Since the last time we talked, we've had snow. I had a snowman that stayed in our garden for a week and a half because even though it stopped snowing, wow, it just didn't get warm enough for the snowman to melt. And although he shrunk slowly, I think it was yesterday that he finally was no more, and there was just a little puddle and some gloves and a carrot left on the grass. But that's how cold it's been, and it really is feeling very wintry. So what are the things that we need to be mindful of as we get well and truly into winter?
Yeah, so winter, it's all about self-immersion. Obviously, we don't want to go outside so much. We want to be nesting inside our homes. We want to take time and reflect, but also it's taking time to see what else we would like to do, obviously, in this new year with New Year's resolutions and things like that. But it's also a time that you could become isolated or withdrawn from the world as you make your own little nest in your secure place. So it's a season of thinking, gratitude, and it's also mindfulness and understanding and taking the time to understand things. And I say understand things, more about understanding ourselves. You know, winter brings up quite a lot of different challenges for us along the way. It's associated with rest and stillness. It's a time to unplug and just be still in the nature. So if we're following nature's way in the window of nature, we're still. Nothing really grows, or it grows very, very slowly. It's still, it's calm, it's peaceful, and almost like, let me ponder whether I want to grow. Let me see how I want to grow. You know, it's also a time for change, discomfort. You know, actually, as we look within and within ourselves as well, it can become quite uncomfortable to have some realizations of who we really are. How do we want to change? What are our patterns? What are our processes and defense systems along the way? So yeah, winter can really be one of those. It can represent an end of a chapter and a new beginning. especially it's the year 9 at the moment. Year 9 is all about transformation. It's all about new beginnings along the way and reflectiveness of where we've come from and what we want to do.
So is this year 9 for Soulhaven since you started, or is this a different calendar?
No, it's a different calendar. It's a numbers calendar.
Okay,
Yeah,
so tell me about that, because I think a lot of people might not be familiar with that way of marking the years. So when did the calendar start?
So it's adding up numbers of the years and of the dates, and then numbers representing different things to different people. So like the number 8 is infinity, but also the number 8 goes round and round again. So you've got the yin and yang, or the negative and the positive. So you could be going round and round and round in your cycle on year 8, but not getting anywhere in particular. Or you could be having infinity and you just keep going. So if you're taking action, if you're building traction, if you're moving forward with your mental health, if you're moving forward with your food intake and things, that could be a good thing as well. So it's all about a balance of where that goes along the way. So this year is a year 9, and that's all about transformation. It's all about doing something amazing. So we've had year 8, now we're on to the year 9, and it's transformation time. Big, exciting. There's a lot of energies out there. It's new, it's exciting, and it keeps on going like that. So numbers. So you want to add up, and then different numbers come on. And
so it's like
number makes
2025 is a 2 and a 2 and a 5, which comes to 9.
Comes to 9.
Yeah. I get it. That's clever.
Yeah.
So then when we get to 2030, it goes back to 5 again.
Yes. Yeah.
It's confusing.
Yeah. It gets a little bit confusing along the way. But
do you ever get the same number twice in a row? Is that possible? I guess it might be.
It might.
Need to have
20,
a think.
22, 2, 4, 6. Oh God, that is a question. I need to get my calculator out.
I'm sure it is technically possible.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's what winter is all about.
Yep.
And we're going to find out a little bit more about winter and what it means for you as you get to this time of year here on A Good Life at Soulhaven. So our next section about winter here on A Good Life at Soulhaven is a few different things to do with winter and the state of self at this time of year. So Natasha, the loving chef, is here with me still. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yep. State of self-evaluation. Do you live in the present or do you live in the past? We all have a story. We all have, I used to do this, or I do this because of X, Y, and Z. We all have a tendency to hold everything to our past story, our past trauma, or our past experiences, whereas actually winter is all about becoming present with today. Yesterday has gone, tomorrow isn't here, but today is actually the present or a gift. And we can very well dwell in the past quite a lot. It can hold us back. Yes, we learn lessons from it. But we can say, I can't do that because I tried it once in the past and I'm never going to try it again and things. So it's all about self-evaluation. Some common questions of what is happening to me? Why is this happening to me? What have I done to deserve this? Well, it comes up along the way, especially around the winter time and the new beginnings within the new year as well. And they are great questions. But if you get stuck in the question without actually truthfully connecting with your heart and answering that question and being allowed, like I know we talked about feedback last time we were here, but actually having some self-feedback along the way of, well, I do that because, like, I know anger, and we all have anger. I get angry sometimes because I'm being deflective because I don't want to go inwardly.
Okay, that's interesting. So you've got to really think and get under the skin of what's happening. Yeah,
some truths of, okay, how do I get out of this? Because like I say, the number 8 is infinity and you can go round and round and round and round, but you need to find the exit door.
Otherwise you just keep going forever and you're not really learning anything. You're just kind of wallowing in it.
Yeah. Definitely.
So what are some sort of common emotions that people might be noticing at this kind of time?
Common emotions, we're talking about anger, sadness, grief at this time as well, jealousy, despair, hopelessness. Oh, it's hopeless. I've done this once before and it didn't work. I don't ever want to try it again. Or change as well. You know, can we all adapt to change? Sometimes we like the routine of things. Sometimes you get up in the morning and you have your cup of tea and 2 sugars and, or Monday do this, Tuesday do that, Wednesday do this, Thursday do that, which is great to have a routine for mindful and mindfulness, but do you have it in a box and not allowing yourself a little bit of flexibility? I know we've talked about the flow with the river and water and things. Sometimes we have to flow like water and find different solutions with things. So yes, a state of thinking to move forward. Get in touch with your intuition. Be initiative. Sometimes we have to find our courage and bravery to actually go inside and use our intuition. I know certainly in the past I haven't used my intuition. I haven't trusted it.
It's kind of like a voice in the back of your head that's telling you something and you can listen to it or ignore it. And a lot of the time it's that gut feeling that you know what you really ought to be doing, and you might not want to, but there's always this kind of nagging intuition
thing
in the back of your head saying this is what you ought to be doing.
Yeah, definitely. Should you be having the conversation with your boss or a colleague or a partner? Should you or want to, but hasn't got the courage and the bravery to do that, because some of the conversations that we truly want to speak our own truth is one of the hardest conversations to have. Are you upset at work with a colleague? Or is there something happening at home that you want to speak out to? And intuition really is that little voice that goes, do this, do this, do this, and then connect with the courage to be able to do that and trust it as well. So yes.
So what are the kind of the key strengths to play on and kind of the key ways of taking it forward?
Key strengths, gratitude, and be grateful. I know we've touched about gratitude in the past episodes here, but to be actually grateful for things. So even though things have happened in the past, we can be grateful and learn from them as well. So take an example, I'm going to mention my ex-husband now. Sorry. My ex-husband, at the time, my divorce I was very, very angry about it. I was very upset about it. I went round and round and round about it, and it became part of my story. But moving forward and into my world where I am today with Samuel and Soulhaven, I'm actually grateful for him teaching me the lessons, because I set boundaries within myself. How do I want to be respected? How do I not? How do I want to be talked to or have conversations with? So yes, grateful. There is a gratefulness or gratitude in everything that we do. We got stuck in traffic today and I got a little bit like, oh my God, we're running late. Oh, actually, I'm grateful for that, because Samuel was actually on a phone call. So he had the time to make that phone call whilst we were stuck in traffic. So
that's true, and it gave me a bit more time to talk to Steve before you got here, and we had a really useful chat that we wouldn't have had time for if you'd actually arrived on time. But I would say let's not make a habit of it, though.
No, okay. But
you're right, though, and when you think back to things that have been painful in your life and you can find a positive in it, it does make it a lot easier to kind of deal with it and just kind of say, okay, this was a terrible experience, but I've learned something from it, or it's made me, strengthened my resolve or something. There's always something that you can take from a situation that's positive, even when the situation itself is awful.
Absolutely, yeah. We're all here to learn. We're all here to learn lessons along the way of how to improve and how to be more true, authentic selves to ourselves. And it is an experiment. We never get it right the first time, ever get it right the first time. But if we don't have the courage to move forward and experiment with that, we at Soulhaven, we never get anything right the first time, but being in the garden, does it work? How do we reflect that? What changes do we need to make along that way as well? So explore, become an adventurer to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It's just trial and error, isn't it? You've got to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And what are some common health challenges that people are going through at this kind of time of year?
Common health challenges, we've got weight issues because, of course, it's cold. We want the comfort food. But also when we go within, we like to feel as comfortable as possible. I know in myself, my comfort food is a loaf of bread. And I can quite easily, I'll hold my hands up high and eat half a loaf of bread at a time. If I'm out of my comfort zones, some people go and watch TV or TV series. Some other people may take, I'll just have a coffee. Other people go to bed and have a duvet day when they're uncomfortable. So yes.
Bread is great though. I think bread is underrated.
Bread
is a really nice
underrated.
Loaf of bread is just delicious.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah. So different issues. We've got weight loss. We've got depression, addiction. Now, addiction doesn't have to mean drugs. It doesn't have to mean alcohol. It could be sugar. It could be scrolling on Facebook. I don't want to deal with myself and look inwardly. Look, I'm busy on Facebook instead. So how do we preoccupy our time as well? So there's addiction there. And there's hearing difficulties because we don't like to hear what we may need to hear along the way. So if somebody's given us some feedback and we're quite blocked in our own soul, I don't want to hear that, I don't want to hear that, I'll just close off my hearing and be choosy about what you want to hear and what we don't want to hear.
So is winter a time when people procrastinate and make excuses because they feel like, well, this isn't the time of year to be harvesting, this isn't the time to be planting anything, let's do nothing and wait, but actually it's the perfect time to do something because you've got that space?
Absolutely. It's the perfect time to stop the procrastination. It's the perfect time to use the time to go within. I mean, if you look at nature in winter, it's darker in the morning, it's darker in the evening. The temperatures are colder, so why don't we go within and just spend a little bit of time with us? Some people call it shadow work, some people call it the darker energies. I don't really know what I call it, but it's just within us. So yes, so just take time and harvest yourself, what you would like to grow within yourself, as we move slowly out of winter into spring in the next few weeks, with the spring equinox coming up in March time.
Excellent. Okay, well, we're going to be finding out about Permaculture Principle number 5 next. It is A Good Life with Soul Haven. So we're going to cross over to Samuel now for Permaculture Principle number 5. If you've been listening to this regularly, we've gone through, as you could probably guess, 4 of these so far. And we're on to the next one, which is about using and valuing renewable resources and services. And these are all about ways to live your life in harmony with nature, and the permaculture principles of something that is very important to the team at Soul Haven about how to align your life and your coping strategies with the rhythms of the seasons and nature and that kind of thing. So tell us a little bit about number 5 and resources and services and how to use and value them.
Absolutely. So once again, just remind you, so the permaculture principles originates from agriculture, permanent agriculture, and how we do things with nature. So it generally looks at things like storing rain, solar energy, and how we use those resources. At Soul Haven, we've used this design philosophy, which you can apply to anything, and how we use it with our mental health. So in terms of this, we're looking at how things rejuvenate us, how it supports our emotional well-being. So there's exercises, hobbies, and things that you can do. So when we think about the term services, you might think, well, what's that? What is there that you can use? Like your gym, your health and well-being centre, your community centre. What is in the community centre that exists? What is there that yourself that you can do by prioritizing? Yes, I'm sorry. I sometimes have difficulty saying certain words, and I've written something that I can't say. by focusing on certain activities that help us, these enhance our resilience, our ability to bounce back. That's what resilience is. And be able to change where we are. Sometimes we do have low mental states. It's completely natural. So when we think about this, think about, well, what fills your cup up? What makes you feel good?
I think that's a really good question, and you do have to stop and think about it for a bit, and maybe remember times when you felt great, and think, what was I doing then, and what was it about that situation that made me feel so happy? And sometimes it might be something that you hadn't really thought of, that you think, oh, actually, yeah, that is something that I should do more of, because that I felt real pleasure and real joy in that moment. Absolutely.
So, and sometimes life can get really busy and we let things pass us by. I know I'm like one of those persons. Sometimes I'm so focused on doing Solhaven, I sometimes neglect my own well-being. So, for example, I enjoy going to the gym and doing fitness classes, and I've just realised that actually I haven't been since last June, because I went to a drumming week where I did some really intense sessions, and then coming back I was like, I'm really tired, I'm not going to do that for a while, and I just never went back. And I don't really know why, because I haven't taken that time. And one of those things we think, what or who energises us? And I was thinking about this recently. I was thinking, yes, when I do drumming, when I've done these things, they've energised me. I feel that buzz of achievement. I feel happy. There's people I can connect with and talk with, and that's really what helps me.
That's really interesting. But then on the flip side, can you also identify things that have the opposite effect?
Absolutely. So you think about what energises you, what depletes you, what makes you feel drained. Is it a people that you have in your lives, situations that you're involved with, things that you do that you really struggle with? I was just saying in the car on the way here, I've recognised that I'm not already very good at connecting with people. I like to connect more with people. Naturally, I'm an introvert, and I find sometimes that can be draining if I do too much. So I need to balance it and make sure and be recognised. Yes, I want to connect with more people, connect with the people that I know and help me, but it's a fine balance. As if I do too much of that, I feel exhausted.
I think a lot of people do, though. If you have a day where you're talking to people all day, and even though it might feel relaxed, like if you're at a wedding or something and you just go around meeting loads of people you haven't seen for ages, it's mentally draining. At the end of the day, you're absolutely shattered, and you think, well, I didn't really do much. I was just having a meal, talking to people, but it's the mental energy. It's really tiring.
Yes, and that's the thing, about observing how you think. So you've got kind of that dual thing there, that you're doing an activity that makes you feel good. Positively, you're connecting with friends, family, and you're really enjoying it. But also be aware that maybe after you've done that, there's going to be a bit of, you'll need to have that self-care. And thinking, well, afterwards I need to just have a bit of space. I need to chill out and not have that, well, I've just got to connect, and I do nothing else. And that's kind of what I've just become aware of. Yes, I want to connect with more people, and I've been more active with that, but also I need those spaces as well to stop.
Just give yourself a bit of space and take stock. So how can you integrate routines into your life that make this easier?
So this is about looking at things where you can do things consistently. Set a time in the diary where you can do it and plan it in. Because that's one of the things I find with myself. I get busy, and then if I don't book it in, it doesn't happen. And then, like I said, ensuring that you've got sufficient recovery time from that activity. Later on, Natasha's going to be focusing back on food, ensuring that you're eating the right things that help you internally And also really important, what we focus on a lot is spending time outdoors in nature. That ability to be in nature. On the phone today, I was talking about grounding, which is the going out and connecting with the earth. Taking your shoes and socks off and just being on the ground and feeling that connection with the earth that is beneath our feet. So much in our society today, we don't do that because we're always wearing shoes. In other cultures in the East, not so much so. They're more barefoot.
That's something that you don't think of really. But I think also because the fact is that there's not a lot of places that are comfortable to walk around without shoes on. If you're in, if you're walking on grass in your garden, or if you're in the forest and there's not too many pine needles, it's fine not to wear shoes. But if you're walking down the street or on the pavement, I don't know. Does it get easier if you get used to not wearing shoes? Do your feet get a bit tougher? I know some people who don't wear shoes a lot, and they do. What I'm talking about is just having that moment, maybe a time in the garden where there's a safe space and you can just do that. So not walking down the street without your shoes on necessarily.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, growing up, there was a famous athlete called Zola Broad.
Yeah.
Who ran barefoot.
Did very well without any shoes on.
Yes.
But, whatever happened to her, though? Let's look at her feet now, though.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so how can we establish routines that recharge our energy? What kind of things should we be doing? What sort of routines and schedules should we put into place in our life to make sure that this is sustainable? Yeah,
so, I mean, these are things that I've realised is I used to have a regular time of going to bed, and over the last couple of years I haven't done that, and I've been more tired, more stressed, and I was like, and over the last couple of weeks I've been going to bed earlier at the same time every day, and suddenly, guess what, I can get up earlier and I don't feel so tired in the morning, whereas before I was like, I don't want to get out of bed.
Was it that you weren't going to bed as early, or was it the inconsistency? So sometimes you'd have a really early night, and then you'd have a late night, and then an early night, and your body just doesn't get used to it. Is it more about consistency necessarily than the time that you go to bed?
I think so. I think it's about having that consistent routine, which often can be difficult. I mean, obviously, if you're working something like shifts, I used to work a shift pattern where some days I would be doing it early, so I'll be starting work at 6 o'clock. Some days I would start at 2 o'clock, and then on that shift pattern I would be doing an evening, so I'll be working throughout in the night. And I found that really, really hard. And I just know that for me, definitely if I'm consistent at going to bed at the same time, I do feel better.
Yeah. No, I think that's very, very good advice, but difficult to stick to when you're busy, or maybe you're a DJ and you work till 2 o'clock in the morning. Some nights it's not going to happen, but it would be lovely. And what else can you do? Mindfulness activities are important, aren't they?
Yes, so mindful activities, dedicating that time to your hobbies and relaxation, giving yourself that space. Knowing what's recharging you and giving that time, because if we do live very busy lives, there's so much that we can be doing, watching TV, being on the computer all the time. You're constantly doing stuff, which is sometimes difficult because you don't realise how draining that can be. So if you're doing things that are not to do with that, so I like to do drumming, I like to do meditative practices, and that's what really helps me. And I just realised that I've become so busy doing the things to make Soul Haven work that I've neglected these things. And now I'm looking at, well, what is my daily life like? How can I have the time for, have the drink in the morning, have the walk outside every day, have that time to walk outside, and how can I value and restore myself in that way?
So is it about maybe putting it in your diary every day that you set aside an hour for a walk at lunchtime or something, or you get into a routine of doing certain things that make you feel good at certain times of the day?
Yes, absolutely. To think about these great questions. What do you need more of? when are you going to do that?
Mm.
And then also think about what do you need less of, and how do you stop that, or reduce it, or do less of it.
Mm. These are very good questions. And yeah, I don't know.
These are just things to think about. There's not an answer. Doesn't mean that you may not be able to do all of these things. I'll hold my hands up high, and I know I don't always.
I think a lot of us know what we should be doing less of, but it's a lot harder to do it than say it.
Absolutely.
So for me, I need to work less and go to bed early, but then my work doesn't get done. So I need to arrange my time to get it done earlier. But then there's other things that need sorting out to make that happen. And it can be quite, a series of things that you have to get in place before the next thing slots into place to sort everything out all at the same time to get the main thing fixed that you need to fix, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah. I mean, so for example, I know that I generally drink a cup of hot lemon this morning. I just realised sitting here, I'm feeling thirsty. I made it this morning. I haven't actually drunk it. And I'm thinking, have I actually drunk anything yet today?
Well, that's not good.
That's
You're
not good.
going to fall down and we're not going to get to the end of the podcast for this, right?
But then I was thinking, like, oh, yes, I have. But then it's like,
Okay.
I didn't take the time first thing this morning to do that. And then I'm feeling that now.
Yeah, you do notice, don't you? And what do you need to stop doing altogether as well, I guess? And whether you've moved forward or away from your plan during the day and kind of taking stock of that.
Yeah, absolutely. These things are all the things that help you plan out what you're going to do and help make it easier. I'm not saying that you're going to get it right all the time, because I know absolutely people don't, but the better that you can discipline, the more likely you are to achieve it.
Fabulous. Well, Natasha is going to be telling us all about how we can think about our relationship with food next. You're listening to A Good Life with Soul Haven, and we're talking about winter this time. And as I said, Natasha is here now to talk about relationships with food and how that relates to everything else that we've been talking about. And it's very much about your personal relationship with food, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. So yes, so you've been invited, or we've shared about becoming inwardly and observing ourselves. And really, another step is about our relationship with food. What is it? How do we work to our advantage or disadvantage with food? It really is a personal relationship to take stock of our eating habits. What time do we eat breakfast? What time do we eat different meals? Are we a snacker? Are we not a snacker? Do we all binge sugar at 3:00 in the afternoon because A, that might be a habit, but also B, that's the only way that we know how to pick up and things. So yeah, so the more that we can grow our own relationship with food, then it helps us to transform as well. I guess the big question is, do we eat to live, or do we live to eat?
I love food. I live to eat. Even something as simple as toast and Marmite, that will be something I'll look forward to all day, and then just really savour it. And I think you do need to eat to survive, but why not make it something that you love at the same time?
Yep, absolutely. As long as you're not eating, dare I say it, fast food 3 times a day, and you're actually having a variety of food inside your diet every single day, then it's obviously a good thing. And yeah, you can overeat. I've confessed today that I can quite easily tuck away half a loaf of bread through procrastination and being uncomfortable. But really, food is 3 main things. It's nutritious, keeps us healthy, keeps our body going. It gives us energy, so our body needs the food to provide the energy for us to keep going on what we're doing. And then the third one is comfort. Our bodies need food we enjoy, so we are happier and more secure with us. But then the other side of the story is do we keep only eating the food that we eat that makes us happy? And why does it give us that happy feeling? afterwards, after eating. So like I say, through procrastination or comfort or stressful times or needing extra energy boost, having a whole bar of chocolate instead of half a bar of chocolate, or a bar of chocolate every other day, then it becomes a little bit of a different relationship, whether that's forming different habits, not actually nurturing ourselves. What is the nutritional value of chocolate? And there are many different nutritional values depending how good the source of chocolate is, but is it ticking the nutritious value along the way? So ideally we would love to tick the whole list of the three things: the nutrition, the energy, and the comfort food at the same time.
I think sometimes people eat food that's bad for them and it becomes a habit, and it's not something that's actually giving them any pleasure anymore. They just do it because it's become a routine. And I think if you go into McDonald's every day for lunch, or you have a bag of crisps for your lunch every day, or you eat a bar of chocolate, you're not getting any mental health benefits from that anymore, because it's just so everyday that if you cut it out and then you have it as a treat, suddenly you appreciate it and you notice it a bit more and it becomes pleasurable again. But when it's mundane every day, it's just like drinking water. It has no effect, and you're actually doing harm to your body without any of the positives. Yeah,
absolutely. And there are signs about how our body reacts, or there's signs that we're not actually following like a nutritious diet, signs that we're not having enough nutrition inside of us. Can be forms of digestive problems, skin irritations, defective bone growth, overeating, deficiency in vitamins and vitamins, minerals, iron and things. It can cause hormone imbalances as well. It can be secret eating. I know of a couple that actually she's just found out that her partner, after she goes to bed, goes and opens the cupboard and snacks for at least 2 hours before he goes to bed.
And she's never noticed that.
Never noticed that until
recently. Is she not wondering why? Like, where is he?
Cupboards are open.
I can hear like little furtive noises from downstairs. Little nibbling noises.
Yeah. But
how strange.
Do we secretly eat?
I mean, I've got to admit, sometimes when I'm on my way upstairs, I might go via the fridge and have like a little bit of nibbling cheese before bed. This is not good for you at bedtime, though, is it? It gives you bad dreams.
Yeah. Cheese is one of the worst for bad dreams, and that's an old wives' tale, but it's very true. Yeah, and also, have time before you go to bed so your body can work and digest, so it doesn't become dormant within, because you won't be getting the full nutritional value of the food that you've eaten if it's just lying dormant within your stomach.
I'm quite guilty when I come home at sort of 3 o'clock in the morning. I was just suddenly making some toast and often wake the whole house up with the smoke alarm if I forget. So that's not the time for Marmite.
No, but that ticks your comfort box. That ticks the box of, I want to have something to enjoy. Some people use 3 o'clock toast and Marmite in the morning as a reward. I've done really, really well. I've had a busy day. I've succeeded in all I want to do. I'm going to reward myself through food. So you may be 3 o'clock in the morning after you've been DJing. Mine tends to be a little bit of chocolate at the end of the day once everybody's gone home and left the site, and I go, I got through that day. That's really good. Just have a little treat, a little bar of chocolate and things. So and that becomes the habit along that way. But also what makes you put things into your mouth along the way.
So what are the signs that you're not enjoying your food and you're just eating through routine or
good
whatever?
Question there, Chris. The signs that you're not enjoying your food: boredom, binging, obsessiveness. I have to eat at this time and I have to have this at this time and things. Eating disorders, isolation is another one as well. Extreme dieting. And we all yo-yo from extreme dieting, New Year, New Year's resolution. That's it. I just want to be thin. Extreme dieting could be a 40-day water fast. Not suggesting that that's good or bad, but that's a personal choice. But that's it. I'm not going to eat for 40 days. Is the wrong energy to go for the excessive.
It's very dangerous, isn't it? And that can easily tip over into an eating disorder.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and eating disorders could be from the obese, or it could be to actually not wanting to eat at all, anorexia along that way. So so just be mindful of are you enjoying it? Are you not enjoying your food? And what does your food bring to you? It's all about, well, I need food just to fuel myself, but have a relationship with the food. Do you enjoy the experience of cooking? Or is it a chore? If you've got kids around and the kids are like, I'm really hungry, because sometimes we do get hangry, including myself, but if you've got kids around coming home from a busy day at school and things, and it's like, here you go, let's just do something really quick.
This is where breakfast cereals are a great solution. It's just shut them up for an hour until it's actually dinner time. Yeah.
But so it's a realization of your relationship with food. What does it give you? How do you use the food? As in, are you a snacker? Are you not? And things. And also, how does it make you feel once you've eaten? There's so many different foods out there, whether it's dopamine, endorphin-rich foods, sugar, is it sugar-related and things? But actually begin to think about how it makes you feel along the way as well.
Very interesting. So a lot to think about. And what are some of the signs that you're not consciously eating, that you're not really thinking about what you're eating and you're just putting whatever comes to hand in your mouth?
It could be obesity, it could be diabetes, it could be other illnesses. And I'm really not saying that all illnesses around food, but they could cause illnesses. If your body's not getting the right nutrition, if it's not getting all the vitamins and minerals and everything that it needs, there is illnesses involved in that. It could be that you forget to eat. Like Samuel was saying, has he drunk his lemon water this morning or has he not? But there's a tendency to think, I've forgotten that meal. And then on the other line is, I haven't eaten breakfast, I haven't eaten lunch. So let me go and eat 5,000 calories all in one go and never stop eating until you're what I call Christmas dinner full.
Oh, that's the worst kind of full. Yeah.
Where you have to allow your body just to digest everything and you can't do anything else along that way. So just being aware of how you use food and what it's for.
It's when you're on your sofa on Christmas Day and you've had as much as you can possibly eat, and then someone finds a way to just put a quality street in your mouth. I shouldn't eat this, but what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
And you just, pushes you over the edge. Yeah. Oh dear. Cool. So are there any signs that that you're not eating enough energy-based food as well? Because you've got to make sure you're getting the energy in your food, haven't you?
Are you lethargic? Do you end up falling to sleep in the afternoon or having to have a little morning nap? Frequent illnesses. Are you... I know there's a lot of viruses going around and colds going around presently and things, but frequent illnesses. Are you always having colds? Are you always having different digestive system problems? Are you getting dizzy? That really is about energy. Dizziness, fainting, mood swings. Do you go from nice, peace, calm, zen kind of energy to rah energy? I know I do if I haven't had enough energy-based foods. Cravings. Do you crave the chocolate? Do you crave the sugar? Coffee, caffeine. They are all very good signs that you're not actually getting enough energy inside of you.
So it's everything, isn't it, really? It's not just what you put in your body, it's what you're thinking about when you go shopping, what you're cooking, how you're preparing the food, how you're eating it, what you're choosing to eat. It's a lot to think about, but it all kind of comes together in that kind of overarching thing of just making sure that you're mindful with your whole sort of diet and eating process.
Yeah. And they say variety is the spice of life. It really is with food as well.
Okay, well, we've got some tips now to help you mindfully observe your eating and food habits. So what are your top tips for making sure that you're fixing some of these things that we talked about?
Great question. So top tips. I'll share with you 3, and then we can start and progress through that at later date. So number 1 is to track your eating patterns, but I invite you to have it with no judgment. I know I do a food diary or food journal quite a lot. I think, oh my gosh, I've had a piece of chocolate. I should never have done that. No judgment at all. But keep a food diary over the next few days.
I think it helps you be honest with it as well, if you don't feel like you're going to get criticism. Because I know people that go to some of these dieting groups that have to keep a record of what they've eaten, and a lot of it is fictitious, and they say, well, you've been eating perfectly and suddenly you weighed twice what you did last time you came here. Something's going horribly wrong with your metabolism. So not being judged, and just being honest with it.
Yeah, and being very honest with it. A lot of the time we tend to forget what we have already eaten. A lot of times we don't remember how much fluid we've drunk to stay hydrated along the way. But pay also attention whilst you're doing your food journal or your food tracker is to work out or note down your emotions around that. Were you really, really hungry? Were you stressed? Were you really busy? Were you procrastinating along the way? So yes, just be mindful to think about the emotions that it brings. This will then help you identify patterns along the way as well, like emotional eating, skipping meals. But yes, do it all without judgment. Don't try and fix things until we realise where we are at the beginning. At Soul Haven, we do very much, well, where are we right now? And within the food relationship, where are you right now? And it definitely doesn't have to be perfect.
So can there be certain emotional things that always trigger a response and doing something in terms of what you're eating, that you can kind of work out what it is that's causing it from that side? Yeah,
definitely. So if you start to journal what it is that you're eating, what emotions are there, and then the next step behind that, it would be, well, what's brought up that emotion? So I sometimes drink a coffee. Now I have decaffeinated coffee, but the thought of actually having a coffee brings me comfort, brings me joy. But the trigger to have the coffee is I'm overstressed and I'm overwhelmed. So I've associated overstressed, overwhelmed with coffee, and then I have my coffee to stop the overwhelm, and then I go, okay. So the big question is, what do I replace that coffee with? Or the following step behind that is, how do I stop my overwhelm and my overthinking of things? And then you don't need the coffee. So it's all in an alignment with that.
Fab. So what's your second tip?
Second tip is to notice how food affects your body and your mind as well. So things like if you're really high in carbs, or if you've had a really fatty food, so if you've gone down to your local fish and chip shop and you've eaten a lovely portion of fish and chips along the way.
Battered sausage,
battered fish, great. So it hits the comfy mark, but does it hit the nutrition mark? Does it hit all 3 things that, no.
Probably not, no.
No. And then you sit on the side, you sit down and sometimes you fall to sleep with it. Oh my gosh, okay, that was a really large meal. So it's actually gone, okay, fish and chips or large fatty foods and lots of carbs makes you sluggish. So as you're going along, notice how your body evolves, and also notice how your body is affected from that. How do you feel after a can of Coke? Or sodas or fizzy drinks, what does that give you? Does it give you the sugar rush? Does it give the pick-me-up that you actually need? Yes, it will quench your thirst, but what is the emotions behind that as well? So recognise different foods has a different impact on your mood. Brain fog. I know if I eat too many carbs, I get a little bit of brain fog. If you eat lighter foods, then you're actually more alert, you have more energy around it. So take time to write all of this down in your tracker or in your journal as you go along. And then the final tip is to be present whilst eating. It's very easy to have a meal cooked for you and then popped in front of you, and then you're busy on your mobile phone or you're watching TV, depending what you're watching. Are you trying to do 50 million things in front? Are you working on your laptop? Are you doing lots of different things? Or are you actually taking time to stop and be present with the food? Offer it gratitude because it's serving you. It's serving you on the three ticks: energy, nutrition, and also comfort. And just spend a little bit of time with that. It's called almost like mindfulness eating along the way. Chew your food. I know I'm very guilty sometimes. It's like, I don't have time. Pop it in there. I hardly even chew it. And then it's just like, okay, meal's done. Thank you very much. Over on what's next. So yeah, being mindful with how you eat. Do you sit around a table with the whole family?
I think that's so important. And I think if you're getting into the habit of eating on your lap while you're watching TV and you're on your phone, it's not good for anything. And it's good to have time where you can just sit around as a family around the table and have a conversation and thank the person that's cooked the food and actually look like you appreciate it, rather than you eating it with one hand with a fork and watching EastEnders at the same time. It's not a nice way to exist as a family. And I think a lot of us have got a dining table that we just hardly ever use because it just ends up a dumping ground for all the clutter, and actually use it to eat.
Yeah.
Radical
use it
idea.
To eat and connect. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Now, we also have to mention your book because we've talked a lot about diet and eating, and it's good to have a lot of this stuff written down. And you've written a book called the You Are What You Eat 12-Week Challenge. Tell me a little bit about that.
I should have brought a copy in. I'm so sorry.
I know.
Missed that one. So it's a 12-week You Are What You Eat challenge book. It's an actual workbook, and each week you can scan a QR code which takes you to a video, so I can explain the week's role or the week's challenge for that week. And it goes into mindfulness eating habits, how much sleep you're getting, how much hydration you are taking in, what foods bring you comfort and why do they bring you comfort. So a lot of things that we've talked about today, but more about in depth. It's more in depth, and obviously then you've got the workbook behind that as well. So yes, and you can always find that on the Soul Haven page, our website page, under the shop area. But if you do want something that's a little bit more personal, then do connect with me personally, and I can send you a signed copy in the post. Yeah.
Are there some recipe ideas and some kind of bit of inspiration in there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a workspace, so you can write it all down. There's recipe ideas in there, and it goes more into the detail of the relationship with food as an overall. So you've got your well-being and your mental health in there as well.
I think that's great, because a lot of the time recipe books don't go into any of that stuff. It's literally just, here's a load of things that you can eat, and it's not telling you what you really ought to eat or helping you work out what you ought to be eating. So yeah, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Right, so we're on to our next section now on A Good Life at Soul Haven, and it's back to Samuel, who's still here. Hello.
Hello.
And you've brought in your singing bowls this week, which I'm very excited. They've been sitting there behind you on the desk, and we're going to have a bit of a demonstration of the singing bowls. Something that I've heard of, I've never actually seen or heard it being done before, and I think a lot of people are quite intrigued by this, how it works, what it sounds like, what you use them for. Tell me a little bit about the singing bowls.
So you may have heard singing bowls when you've been to meditation or a wellness retreat. So they are originally from Tibet or Himalayan area, and they're used in those regions, and they traditionally came from the temples. So used by Buddhist monks in part of the meditation in the services, and they would be made traditionally from 7 different metals.
Wow.
copper, tin, zinc, iron, silver and gold, and even mercury.
All mixed together, or different bowls from each?
All mixed together.
Wow. And who would make the bowls? The monks or special craftsmen?
I presume... I don't actually know that. That's a very good question. Let me just pick up one of the bowls.
It's probably like in Lord of the Rings, where you've got dwarves in a mountain putting these bowls together, and it's all very... Does it say underneath, made in Hong Kong or something? Are they from Poundland? They're not. No. These are amazing. Look at that. It's got an incredible marbled effect on the bowl, and just...
Yeah, so it has a marbled effect, and this is due to the mix of different metals that are in it. And
but it feels cold like a metal as well. It's very hard and cold. But I've never seen anything quite like that in terms of the colour and the way it kind of like iridescent colour of the bowl.
Yeah, and you can get different ones. I mean, some of them now you can buy ones that are actually machined, right? But traditionally this has been done by hand, and that's why you can see all the different marks where it's actually been hammered.
Wow.
And this particular type of bowl is called a moon bowl, and it's made during the full moon.
Oh, wow.
And
so where did that one come from? Where did you find it?
This is from Nepal.
Wow, this is a genuine one that you've brought back from Nepal, and it's got that sort of Buddhist symbol on the front there as well.
Yeah, it's got a symbol on the front, and it's got some writing on the back.
Yeah, so it's one ring to rule them all, I think.
I don't know. It's definitely not in elfin tongue. I think it's Sanskrit. I don't know what it says because I can't read that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so what are the benefits of the bowls? What do you do with them?
You strike the bowl with like a mallet, which I've left it over by the table.
No, we'll do it in a minute.
I'll do it in a minute and show people. So you either strike the bowl with a mallet, or you take the mallet and rub it round the edge of the bowl to make it sing. And the benefits is first and foremost the sound and vibration they produce. So each bowl has a set note that it is loosely tuned to. So that I've got a set of 7. So in India they have the thing called the chakras, which is 7 parts of your body. So there's 7 bowls, one for each chakra.
And they're all different sizes, so I guess it's like bells that the size of the bowl kind of denotes the note.
The size, you can get different size of bowls for the same note.
Oh, okay.
It's how it's been tuned. I don't know exactly how that works, but the other interesting thing is that it's not just one note. Each bowl has an overlaying of multiple notes, so it has overtones. And that's what gives some of the calming properties. So the fact that it's got multiple notes means that your brain can't fully lock onto the one thing. So then your brain kind of drifts off into a higher, I don't know if it's higher or into another state of being. So when you're relaxing, your brain tends to go into a different wave pattern.
And that's so interesting. So it's all the different harmonics of the frequency that the bowl's vibrating. You can hear all of those at slightly different frequencies. So,
and then also you've got the vibration of the bowl itself. So when you hold it, the vibrations pass through your body, or when you're in the same room, you can feel the vibrations passing through the room. And the theory is that this stimulates healing at a cellular level, and people use this also to improve focus, improve the sleep, but like I said, balancing their energy or chakras.
Fabulous. Okay, well, I think it's time to have a go. So you've got the bowls over there on the table. For people that are watching this on the video, we're going to move the camera around so you can see the singing bowls, and we've lined them up. So there's the 7 bowls, and you've got. Do you have a different way of hitting each bowl? Do you use different sticks?
So there are.
We can't really hear you over there because you're not by the microphone, but we'll hear the bowls, when you come back. But you've got a few sticks.
So there's different sizes of sticks. So there's that I use. Right, so I sit back down.
Yeah, sit back down.
So there's different sizes of sticks, mallets. These are different mallets. So I'll hold them up so that I've got a large one.
What are those made of?
These are made with wood, and then they have a suede material, I think, that's on the outside, and that enables you to rub the side of the bowl to create the sound, and also protects the bowl when you're hitting it. And so each one gives a different sound from the bowls. And what I tend to do is you use each mallet at different times, and I actually hit all the bowls, because then you get different sounds and different responses. Some of the smaller ones is better for the smaller bowls, but I tend to use it with all of them, and then you get different sounds out of them.
Right, so we're going to demonstrate this now, and are you going to strike each bowl individually, one at a time? How are you going to do it, or all at once?
So what I'm going to do is hit each one individually, and then I'm going to build up like a pattern. It's called a wave. So it's going to be start off gently, just slowly hitting each one, and then I will gradually move around the bowls, hitting them in different ways and different speeds, and it will build up like a wave of sound.
Okay, I'm very excited by this. So I'll let you head over to the singing bowls now, and we'll get ready to perform singing bowls here live on the podcast. So here we go. This is Samuel on the bowls. It's remarkable, and you kind of want to wait until the sound stops completely, which takes so long. It's still resonating, isn't it?
It is.
That was incredible. Wow. I forget to put the camera back on you. So it's quite remarkable, and it's not like anything else that you can sort of compare it to. The richness and the depth of sound when you're actually in the room, and I think it's something that you can't really capture with a microphone and headphones or a speaker. So if you're listening to this on the radio or on the podcast, you kind of have to imagine how it would sound actually in the room, but it almost feels like the whole room is vibrating with the sound of the singing bowls. Yes,
and what I've done is I've actually recorded it doing the singing bowls inside our earth domes, which reverberates even more, and I've put that on YouTube, so it's on our YouTube channel, so you can go and listen to that as well. and we'll put a link into the underneath the blog.
Yeah. So you have some sound meditation sessions coming up, don't you, that people can come along to?
Absolutely. I just did one this Wednesday, and every month.
Yeah, and you can find out all the details on the Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/Solanghaven events.
Yes, that's true.
Events.
Yeah, I mean, currently they're booked in for the third Wednesday of every month. However, we are looking at doing other dates as well.
You're listening to A Good Life with Solhaven, and we've had a very interesting show today. We've learnt an awful lot and just had an incredible demonstration of the singing bowls, which I think people in adjoining offices would have also enjoyed coming through the walls here. Now, we'll have a little taster for what we're going to be doing in our next session and what's happening in the community garden. Then we're going to do our cards and wrap things up. So what's going on at the moment as we get ready for the new season?
So in the garden at the moment, the garden's been quite dormant. I have to say, it's been a time of nurturing it. So we're mulching around the beds. Now mulching it could be compost that we've done. So we make all our own compost in the garden area, and then we layer the compost on top of the beds to give it the nutrition ready for planting when springtime comes. Things in the garden that are growing at the moment, oh my gosh, hold on for this. We've got onions, we've got garlic, we've got celeriac, there is still swede in there in the earth as well. And then in our beautiful polytunnel, we've got things like pak choy, kale, spring greens, spinach and things. So lots and lots of good stuff. And then we're also preparing seeds. So we've written a list about everything that we would like to plant for 2025. Sorted out our very messy seed box because, it does get a little bit messy. So we've categorised that. We've done our shopping list of all the seeds that we want to buy this year as well. So this is all about nurturing the soil, planning ready for the busy period of growing time, and being still as well. So we're still raking up leaves, believe it or not.
Wow.
Solhaven's got quite a lot of leaves going on, but we turn that into leaf mulch as well. So we're I do have to tell you about the snowdrops. We found some beautiful snowdrops in our garden this 2 days ago. And it's like they're the first snowdrops we've seen.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Just in time.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't have any more really cold weather and they'll be all right. So next time we're going to be talking about how winter invites us to get ready for the growth of spring by using resources wisely. We'll talk about Permaculture Principle number 6, which is produce no waste, and talking about how mental health involves fostering practices that minimise emotional and mental waste by turning challenges and setbacks into growth opportunities, and also focusing on solutions and positive outcomes and enhancing daily routines to reduce wasted time and energy. So a lot of stuff happening on our next episode. Shall we draw a card now and focus for the week ahead? I'm just going to pick one now, which is the compliment. Always nice to have a compliment. Always nice to say nice things to people. And I think that's a nice positive one for this week, just about making sure you're always, saying something to make somebody else smile, I guess.
Yeah, and I also just want to add in there that also what's your reactions if somebody gives you a compliment? Because we're very guilty of us all going, it was, so somebody compliments it clothes. Oh, that's okay. That was just from a charity shop. Or it was cheap or blah, blah, blah.
I hate it when people can't take a compliment and they just brush it off and you kind of feel like, I just said something really nice to you and you haven't accepted it.
Yeah, accept it. And the two words.
It's modesty, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of, if someone says, you're really good at this, just to go, yep.
Yep, thank you. Yeah.
It feels a bit big-headed, but thank you works, doesn't it?
Yeah, thank you really does work. And it's start with the smaller things. I know a lot of people, including myself, I could never take a compliment for a long time, but just start off just by literally just saying thank you and owning the compliment as well. So it's
Lovely.
good focus for the week.
Excellent. Well, thank you both for your time this week, and make sure you join us on the next episode and get in touch if you want to experience those incredible singing bowls live with one of Samuel's meditation sessions. Thanks very much. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.